Greetings. In this video, I'm going to discuss what I believe to be the true cause of inequality in South Africa. The reason I'm going to discuss this is that the ANC, South Africa's dominant political party, which has been so since the abolishment of apartheid in the early 90s, is very fond of calling South Africa one of the most unequal societies on earth. When they do this, however, what they are specifically referring to is the economic inequality between black South Africans and white. And although I will not deny that such inequality does exist, I believe that the ANC overplays and overstates it for their own political expedience. The reason I make this claim is that South Africa is well known in the international community for having one of the most bloated parliaments in the world. Not only do some portfolios have a minister in charge of them, several also have a number of deputy ministers and assistants functioning below them. In South Africa, high-ranking politicians are not only entitled to very generous base salaries, but also a housing allowance, a travel allowance, a vehicle allowance, and in some cases, an entertainment allowance. In practice, what this means is that South African politicians pay for almost nothing out of their own pockets in their daily activities. You might wonder why I'm qualified to talk about these things. Well, let me tell you a little bit about myself in case you've never encountered me before. I was born in South Africa in 1990. I have lived here my whole life, as has my family, and I have never even left the country once. Furthermore, my ancestors settled in this country so many generations ago that although it is true that technically I am of European descent, I no longer have any direct ties to Europe, nor any means of legally returning there, as white South Africans are often aggressively and viciously told that we should do. Long-time viewers of my videos will know this, but for those of you who don't, I was also born with quadriplegic cerebral palsy, a severe and permanent neuromuscular disorder that causes my body to move and react strangely and also confines me to a wheelchair. This disability, therefore, affects my opportunities to secure and hold on to gainful employment. I am college educated and I have worked for several years in my chosen field of journalism and copywriting, but due to a combination of South Africa's failing economy, my disability making me unable to move around freely, and finally the damage done to our country during the COVID-19 lockdowns, my opportunities for legal and gainful employment have basically become non-existent. As such, I receive what is known as the disability grant. People in other countries would most likely refer to this as a welfare payment. However, unlike in countries in the West, this disability grant does not completely fund my existence. It is just over 2,000 Rand a month, which is less than half of our current national minimum wage. And I'm referring to the minimum wage that is calculated as full-time employment, including half-day work on Saturdays, in case you want to look that up for yourself. The reason I am making this video is that as somebody with a severe disability, I am extremely frustrated at my lot in life, and I want to make it known that were our politicians not so grossly overpaid, we would have more than enough funds for people with disabilities like myself and others to live in a much more dignified and stable manner. I'm going to explain more about how my life works in order to make this as clear as I can to you. As I said, the disability grant that I receive on a monthly basis is just over 2,000 Rand. I am able to survive by using this grant, as well as a small amount of money I'm able to make through online content such as this, as well as financial support I receive monthly from my parents, who are both now retired. I live with my cousin, who also acts as my primary caregiver, and he is generous enough to allow me to simply pay what I need to survive, and he does not charge me extra for rent or utilities. If he did, I would not be able to maintain my existence. And the reason that I feel frustrated and frankly trapped is that my circumstances do not allow me to better myself, because my disability makes me unable to drive any kind of vehicle. Therefore, I do not have freedom of movement, and my financial situation prevents me from being able to employ a qualified assistant to get me from place to place. So I cannot feasibly apply for positions of employment, even if they did exist, which frankly, in South Africa, they really don't. One of the reasons I say that they don't is that shortly after the abolishment of apartheid, a system which is essentially, I'll call it what it is, an employment caste system known as Black Economic Empowerment, was instituted. And what Black Economic Empowerment is a system of legal mandates and quotas which regulate employment opportunities not based on merit, but based on physical identity in terms of race, gender, and honestly, how politically connected one happens to be. So not only are my prospects hampered by my physical disability, I am also considered less than simply because I happen to have been born white. Now, I should be clear that when apartheid fell, I was a toddler, literally. I am now just 2 weeks shy of my 34th birthday, and in these circumstances, it is very difficult for me to believe that I will have any sort of meaningful future or useful life. I know that that sounds bleak, but it is what I honestly believe to be the truth, and I want to make it known. I don't even care how many people see this. I just think it's important to put it on the record. Thank you for your time, and for now, farewell.